Welcome to Biblical Living and the Shadowlands, a podcast where we dive into what it means to live biblically in a world gone crazy. Strap in, it's about to get real.
Hey everybody, welcome to Biblical Living in the Shadowlands. My name is Ryan Stoldryer, and I will be your host and field guide through this crazy world that we live in, which we like to call the Shadowlands. Now, normally Caleb is with me. Unfortunately, an emergency has come up with his daughter, and so they're at the hospital right now. We ask you to keep them in your prayers. His family's been going through kind of a lot lately um, with health struggles. So I know he would appreciate it. And of course, I would appreciate it. And I know his whole family would appreciate you keeping him in your prayers. If anybody needs a prayer covering, I think he could probably use one, at least at this season in his life. So, yeah, if y'all would be lifting up Caleb, that would be uh, tremendous. That would be awesome. So, if you are new to the podcast, we want to let you know that uh, if you hear any crackling in the background, we like to set up these conversations as kind of a fireside chat. So, um, imagine yourself pulling up the stool, the I don't know, couch, the recliner, uh, car, seat, whatever. And just imagine that you're sitting there having this conversation with us as we talk about the Bible and how to live according to the principles of the Bible and spiritual warfare. That's what we mean by the Shadowlands, if you did not know that. So, if you're watching live or listening live, whatever, um, I do want to let you know that we do have a chat feature, meaning that if you comment on the video, either on YouTube or Facebook, the comments do come through and we do tend to interact with those comments, as long as it's not something like, hi, how are you? Things like that. We don't tend to comment on those. So, every once in a while we like to s- kind of do a reset of sorts. We like to kind of revisit our roots and talk about what it is that we do. And this will probably be a shorter episode, being that I don't have my counterpart with me. um, but this show is about biblical living and spiritual warfare. And sometimes we get, I don't want to say lost or caught up in the theories or world of ideas or anything like that. It's all about living biblically, learning to take whatever knowledge we have received and putting it into practice. In the book of Philippians, it says, um, I can't quote it right off the top of my head exactly, but it says basically, to whatever truth you have attained, live up to it. And basically, that means, have you learned something in the Bible? Have you learned a truth in the Bible? Live it. Don't just read it and say, oh, that's nice. Don't just read it and say, ooh, that one kind of stings a little bit. Don't just read it and move on. Read it and apply it as though it was a manual for life. You know, I think sometimes we forget that. We like to refer to it sometimes as the owner's manual, God's owner's manual or the Christian's owner's manual. And maybe there's some truth to that. When was the last time that you picked up the owner's manual of your car? I can tell you that since the day that I bought my car, I probably haven't opened it up unless I needed some help with something. And isn't that just like what we tend to do with the Bible? We don't tend to open it up until we need something or something's wrong or we need to figure out how to do something. There's certain features on my car that could be very beneficial to driving that I might never know about if I never crack open that owner's manual. I remember a couple of years back when I bought our car, it was a few months after. And I was looking at the owner's manual. I was trying to find something and I looked and I saw, and I don't remember what it was, but I was like, oh, I didn't know this car could do that, you know? And a lot of times there's things in the Bible that are like that. I didn't know that the Bible addressed this issue. I didn't know that the Bible had answers for depression. I didn't know that the Bible had answers for anxiety. I didn't know that God actually had something to say about my marriage or uh, l- lack thereof. I didn't know that. So the first thing is to realize that the Bible has so much more in it than a lot of times we practically realize. But then when we learn a truth in the Bible, when we learn something in the Bible, we need to apply it. James, in the book of James here, let me see if I can find it real quick. I believe it's in James chapter 1. It seems like it's one of the first things James says, which makes sense. Okay. In James chapter 1, and starting in verse 22, he says, "But be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. Because if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like someone looking at his own face in a mirror, for he looks at himself, goes away, and immediately forgets what kind of person he was." It's like I look in the mirror and I see that something is wrong on my face. Maybe there's a smudge somewhere on my face. I walk away and I forget that it's there. I never deal with the problem. Well, James says that um this person is deceived. So anyway, we need to learn to apply what we read, and that's what this show is about. Sometimes we don't always know how to apply a particular verse or a passage of scripture. And so that's where that's where it's helpful to go and meditate on those things. And that's what we kind of try to do with some of the topics in this show. So each episode, I try to throw in some kind of topic of philosophy. And if you are new to the show, I want to let you know the reason why. It's not because this show is about philosophy proper. Um, no, this show's about the Bible and how to live according to the principles of the Bible and spiritual warfare and things of that nature. So, what role does philosophy have in that? Well, philosophy is a discipline of, the word philosophy means the love of wisdom or lover. Well, philosopher is a lover of wisdom. Philosophy is the love of wisdom. And so, wisdom teaches us to apply the principles of the Bible to our lives. It kind of all fits together. So, this episode is going to be a little bit I say it's going to be a little bit shorter. I imagine it's going to be a little bit shorter. We'll see how that works out. A lot of times that means it's going to be regular length or even longer. Trying to avoid that. But since Caleb is not with me tonight, I want to go over Proverbs chapter 8. There's a lot of really good stuff in Proverbs chapter 8. And I want to set this up by talking about something that recently happened to me in my devotional time. So, I've been reading through the book. It's a book by an author named Boethius. Boethius lived in the 3rd century AD, and he wrote a book called The Consolation of Philosophy. And he was a Christian author. Okay. Let me start off with that. He was a Christian author before there was such a thing called Catholicism. And he wrote Consolation of Philosophy when he was in prison in the worst of circumstances, and he was all saddened by his circumstances. He was upset. He was missing his home, his library. He had a nice big library. He was missing all of that, and he was just really kind of having a bit of a pity party. Well, in the midst of all this, he imagines this woman coming to him, who is called Lady Philosophy. And at first, when I read that, I was kind of like, okay, I'm not sure I like the direction of this. Think about spiritual warfare, if an angel appears to you as an angel of light, um, it could be not a good thing. So I was very skeptical at first, and I've been testing everything that I've been reading. And one of the clues as to whether a spiritual entity is um, of God or not is if it's of God, it's going to point back to God almost always, almost all the time. If it's not of God, typically it's going to point toward you, bettering yourself, all about you and your desires and your wants and your needs and this, that, and the other, or it's going to glorify itself. So that's just kind of a little tidbit there. But I don't think that's what Boethius was doing when he wrote this book. What I think he was doing was he was using a literary device that we're going to see that Solomon used. And I'm going to get back to that here in just a moment, but I'm trying to set up for you. This actually helped me this week at my work, and I won't go into detail about where I work or what I do for a living, but at my work, things were getting incredibly stressful. I was getting overwhelmed. I was just all distraught. I mean, I was in bad, bad shape. You can ask practically anybody that knows me. I was in bad shape, rough. I mean, I was just all up in my emotions. And I was doing a little devotional on this book. And by the way, you can follow along with that devotional that I do. Um, you can go to oftheleast.wordpress.com, and you can find that blog there where I'm commenting on it. But anyway, um, as I was commenting, one of the things that Lady Philosophy points out to Boethius is that he has he has left his home. And she said, not your home of the library or the comforts, but your home in philosophy, your home in rational thinking, your home in logical and clear thinking. He had switched from clear thinking to emotional thinking. And anytime we get into emotional thinking where you don't think clearly. So I do a full detailed thing about that in the blog. Go check it out. I'm calling it Notes on Boethius, so check it out. But what it really spoke to me was that when I'm upset, there's a reason underlying that. And that reason is rooted in bad thinking. And so when I was reading about that, I got to thinking about myself and I got to thinking, okay, I've been upset lately. What bad thinking am I doing? And what I discovered is that I was putting pressure on myself that was unwarranted, unjustified. It was not right. And by putting that pressure on myself, it wasn't pressure from my boss, it wasn't pressure from my supervisor, it was pressure that I was putting on myself. And by doing that, I was putting myself in this emotional state that was barring me from being able to think clearly and operate efficiently. So, anyway, whenever God used that text to show that to me, I have been in a much, much better state ever since. So, all that to say, let's get into Proverbs chapter 8. I told you a moment ago that, and I'm going to share my screen with you all so we can kind of follow along together. Let's see. Does it give me an option? Here we go. Make it a little bit bigger. There we go. All right. By the way, if you don't have eSword, it's a really valuable tool. It's free. You can download it online. And it's got a lot of really good features. You can view multiple translations. And in this tab that I have open right now, you can actually view different translations side by side. So I'm looking at, excuse me, I'm looking at the New American Standard in this column, the English Standard version in this column, and the literal version of the Bible in this column. So I'm going to be reading primarily from the ESV, the English Standard, because it's the most readable. But for clarification, we may jump to some of the other ones throughout. All right, so let's start at the beginning. And this is where I said Solomon uses this same literary device that Boethius is using. And that is, he is personifying wisdom. He's talking about wisdom as if wisdom was an actual person, and even talking about what she would say. All right. So understand, he's not talking about an actual woman. He's talking about wisdom as if she was a woman. And that's kind of what Boethius does. He talks about philosophy as if it was a woman. Why a woman? I don't know. I guess that's just kind of the way that literary devices work. I don't know. Maybe an English teacher can enlighten me on that. Okay, let's start. Does not wisdom call, and does not understanding raise her voice? On the heights beside the way, at the crossroads, she takes her stand. Beside the gates in front of the town, at the entrance of the portal, she cries aloud, "To you, O men, I call, and my cry is to the children of man. O simple ones, learn prudence. O fools, learn sense. All right. Now, let's look at a couple of the other translations here. Um, in the New American Standard, it says, "Oh, naive ones." A naive person is somebody who doesn't have much experience in the world. They don't know a bunch of different things. They don't know how things work. They're not street smart, so to speak. It says, "Understand prudence." And just because I don't want to mess up the definition, let's go to Google real quick. And what is prudence? I like to know what words mean? All right. Prudence is the ability to govern oneself through practical reason, exercising caution, foresight, and good judgment to make wise choices and avoid unnecessary risks. Man, that is good. So, the ability to govern oneself through practical reason. All right. So, Solomon, the wisest person to ever live, he's saying, understand prudence, learn how to reason well, how to think well. And that's why I'm so passionate about philosophy. I know some people get tired of hearing me talk about it. I nerd out on the subject, but that's because it helps me to learn how to think clearly. And by learning how to think clearly, I can apply the principles of the Bible to my life and I can have a better life. My life is getting better and better, not because of my circumstances, but because of what God is doing in my mind. I am being transformed by the renewing of my mind, so to speak. So let's keep going. O fools, learn sense or understand wisdom. Hear, for I will speak noble things. Now, noble is kind of like high ranking, exalted things. I don't particularly like the word noble, but actually, the literal translation does a better job with it. It says, "For I will speak of excellent things, and from the opening of my lips shall be right things, or from my lips will come what is right. For my mouth will utter truth. Wickedness is an abomination to my lips." So wickedness has no place in real wisdom. And you think about the Epicureans, or you think about the hedonists, the people that advocate for seeking after nothing but pleasure. That leads to wickedness. That's not real wisdom. If it leads to wickedness, it's not real wisdom. That's a clue. I'm reminded, sorry, ADD moment. I'm just reminded of that moment from the cartoon movie The Jungle Book, where Baloo the bear says, "Have I given you a clue?" We just got one. All right. Let's see. Picking back up in verse 8. All the words of my mouth are righteous. There is nothing twisted or crooked in them. They are all straight to him who understands, and right to those who find knowledge. Take my instruction instead of silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. All right, let me stop right here. One of the things that I am learning through this book by Boethius is I'm learning some of the reasons why Solomon said, "Don't seek after silver and don't seek after gold." And I'm still learning from the book, so I'm not fully there yet. But one of the ideas that I'm picking up from it is that money, let's just boil it down to what it is, money is fickle. It comes, but it goes away so quickly and so easily. I may get in uh, a $3,000 gift from somebody, and then poof, my air conditioner goes out, my car needs a major automotive repair, just all of a sudden, boom, it comes and then whoosh goes right back out. And it's like, oh, wow. And if I base my happiness on my circumstances when it comes to money or good fortune, if I base my happiness on that, then I'm going to be all over the place. One minute I'll be happy, the next moment I'll be sad, the next moment I'll be happy, the next moment I'll be sad. But if we can learn to not trust those things, that's the key right there. Don't trust those things. Don't rely on those things. They're blessings when they're there, but they're curses when they're not. Don't put your hope in money. Don't put your hope in nice things. Don't rely on them. They're very seductive that way. Okay. Take my instruction instead of silver and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than jewels, and all that you may desire cannot compare with her. That's more on what I was just saying. Verse 13, the fear of the Lord is hatred of evil. Pride and arrogance and the way of evil and the perverted speech I hate. Notice, the fear of the Lord is hatred of what is evil. Again, any kind of philosophy, any kind of teachings you may hear that include evil things. All right, let's throw out an example. Oh, it's just a little white lie. It's not going to hurt anybody. Lying is evil, and lying is not wise. It may have the appearance of evil, but wisdom rejoices in the truth, even if the truth brings harm. And I could go down a rabbit hole with that, but I better I better hold myself back. All right. But the fear of the Lord. And we've talked several times on this show about the fear of the Lord. The fear of the Lord is not, oh, God's going to strike me down if I make a mistake. No, the fear of the Lord is I don't want to offend God. I don't want to do anything that would hurt him because I love him, because I have a relationship with him. That is what the essence of the fear of the Lord is. All right. So, verse 14, I have counsel and sound wisdom. I have insight. I have strength. I mean, why would you not want this, people? By me, kings reign and rulers decree what is just. By me, princes rule and nobles, all who govern justly. I love those who love me. You could read that as I benefit those who love wisdom. That wisdom benefits those who love it. And those who seek me diligently find me. Riches and honor are with me, enduring wealth and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold, even fine gold, and my yield better than choice silver. I walk in the way of righteousness in the paths of justice, granting an inheritance to those who love me and filling their treasuries. One of the things about wisdom, and you'll find this throughout the book of Proverbs as well, is wisdom has a lot to say about money, how to handle your finances, how to get out of debt, things of that nature. There's a lot of wisdom in the Bible about how to manage your finances. And those who manage their finances according to the principles of the Bible tend to find themselves wealthy. I mean, I'm not going to pull any punches. We're not prosperity preachers here. But the fact of the matter is, when you handle money biblically, responsibly, wisdom helps you get it. All right. Verse 22, The Lord possessed me at the beginning of his work, the first of his acts of old. Ages ago I was set up at the first, before the beginning of the earth. When there were no depths, I was brought forth, when there were no springs abounding with water. Before the mountains had been shaped, before the hills, I was brought forth. Before he had made the earth with its fields, or the first of the dust of the world. When he established the heavens, I was there. And when he drew a circle on the face of the deep, when he made firm the skies above, when he established the fountains of the deep, when he assigned to the sea its limit so that the waves might not transgress his command, when he marked out the foundations of the earth, then I was beside him like a master workman, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing before him always, rejoicing in his inhabited world and delighting in the children of man. Oh my. There's an argument for the existence of God. It's called the teleological argument or the design argument. And that is this idea that everything we see around us is designed, and therefore there must be a designer. And this is actually speaking to that. Solomon, speaking for wisdom, is saying, I was there with God. All of these things were done in wisdom. It wasn't just haphazardly thrown together. God didn't just take a bunch of materials and just throw them out in the universe, and whatever will be will be. No, he designed the universe intricately. And this actually goes into details about what he did. Now, you can't take it super literally, when it says, um, when he drew a circle on the face of the deep. Okay, it's using poetic language there to describe what God did, but you can't take it as scientific language. It's not written that way. So I just want to make that point real quick. All right, verse 32. And now, O sons, listen to me. Blessed are those who keep my ways. Hear instruction and be wise and do not neglect it. Y'all, so many people neglect wisdom. So many people neglect the book of Proverbs. So many people neglect philosophy. And again, philosophy is simply the love of wisdom, and true wisdom starts with the fear of the Lord. Solomon says that at least twice in the book of Proverbs. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom or of knowledge. All right. So, and we're getting ready to wrap up. Hear instructions, hear instruction and be wise. Do not neglect it. Do not, you know, the the command of God is to love the Lord with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And so many of us Christians, we neglect that most precious gift of our mind. Learning how to think clearly, learning how to apply rational principles, logical principles to the Word of God and to our lives. And remember, when it said prudence earlier in the passage, prudence actually means practical wisdom, reasoning. It means reasoning. So, anyway, hear instructions and be wise. Do not neglect it. Blessed is the one who listens to me, watching daily at my gate, waiting beside my doors, eager to learn new things, eager to grow in wisdom. Whoever finds me finds life and obtains favor from the Lord. Ooh, Did you know that there's something that you can do to obtain favor from the Lord? And it's not just the Bible that says this. Numerous philosophers that didn't know anything about God have said what a blessing it is to find wisdom. How extra blessed are those who find God's wisdom. Again, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. So there's a reason why pursuing wisdom and sound reasoning is it causes one to obtain favor from the Lord. There's a reason for that because it's dear to God's heart. He said, "Come, let us reason together." Anyway, but he who fails to find me injures himself, and all who hate me love death. Wow, what a way to end that passage. And we find this to be true in life. We see people on the news all the time who fail to operate with wisdom. We call it common sense, which is not all that common anymore. But they injure themselves through stupidity. I mean, they have things called the Darwin Awards. I don't think it's an actual thing anymore. I think it's lessened in popularity, but the Darwin Awards were people who uh, it was kind of satirical, I think. People who died doing the stupidest, dumbest things. It's a play on the word survival of the fittest. Well, this is more the death of the dumbest. Um, but even beyond, even disregarding the Darwin Awards, we find this all the time. People acting foolishly and injuring themselves for doing so. And all who hate me love death. There's a lot of people that have died because they did not love wisdom. They didn't love truth. They didn't love sound reasoning. God even says, I think it's in First or Second Thessalonians. I want to say Second Thessalonians that He would send a strong delusion on people who do not love the truth. If you don't have a love for truth, a love for wisdom, God will allow you to be deluded, to be stupefied, so to speak. So, yeah, I'm a nerd for philosophy. I am a philosophy nerd. I will admit it. But there's good reason for it. Because when it comes down to it, in a lot of ways, this right here is a book of philosophy. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can talk more directly. This here is a book of philosophy. When you understand that philosophy is a love of wisdom, there's a lot of wisdom in this book. And yeah, it's more than just wisdom, it's more than philosophy, but it's it's full of wisdom. And the more we learn to apply this to our lives, the more wise we will be. Because wisdom isn't just in knowing things, wisdom is actually applying it as well. So, normally we go an hour on this show. I intended for this to be a shorter episode. It's a little bit shorter, but yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end it for tonight since Caleb isn't here. And I want to thank y'all for joining me. If you get a chance, check out the blog. Um, It's of the least, OFTHELEAST, of the least .wordpress.com. Check it out, subscribe to it, share it with other people, share this podcast, like and subscribe to it. Let's get truth out there. Let's get wisdom out there. Let's get God's word out there. And y'all be praying for Caleb and his family, especially during this time. I know that they would greatly appreciate your prayers. God bless y'all. Have a great evening.
If you like this podcast, please like, subscribe, and leave a positive review, and share with others. Look me up on Twitter, aka X, at Shadowland War, or visit my Facebook page, The Shadowland War.